The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration defines distracted drivers as those who engage in any activity that could divert a person's attention away from the primary task of driving. Let's be honest, plenty of us fit that description. Distracted driving behaviors can seem like an inevitable part of our hectic, high-tech world, but the cost is just too high for us to continue them. So let's take a look at how we can break ourselves of the distraction habit. Distracted driving has been called an epidemic and a new universe of risk. More than 70% of all drivers talk on their cell phone while driving, and more than 40% read or send text or email messages while behind the wheel. One study found that talking on a cell phone quadruples the risk of being in an accident. That number jumps to 23 times more risk when a driver is texting. And distraction can take many other forms as well, such as eating as you drive or brushing your hair. Even glancing at a map or getting too involved in a discussion with a passenger can pull you away from focusing on the road. Every year, thousands of people are killed and hundreds of thousands are injured in crashes that involve distracted drivers. As a result, many states have banned driver use of handheld cell phones, and most states ban driver texting. But distracted driving continues unabated, and so do the crashes, injuries, and deaths it causes. Why? The answer highlights a frustrating fact about attitudes toward distracted driving. More than 90% of drivers have said that they recognize the danger from cell phones and other distractions. Yet 2/3 of the same people admitted to talking on a cell phone while driving, and 35% said they read or send text messages or email as well. We can no longer write this behavior off as human nature. Distracted driving kills people. Its tragic cost demands we take effective steps to stop it as soon and as completely as possible. To better understand the problem of distracted driving, let's take a closer look at distraction itself and what it means when someone behind the wheel isn't fully focused on the road. If you see someone engrossed in a cell phone conversation, texting, eating, drinking, brushing their hair, applying makeup, talking to passengers, looking at maps, or adjusting dashboard controls, they're a distracted driver. You can also tell them by their driving itself. They're often the ones swerving and weaving through traffic, going too fast or too slow, and making sudden starts and stops. Because these are the things that happen when a driver isn't focused on driving. Distracted drivers are just plain trying to do too many things at once. Over the years, this concept of multitasking has become very popular in the workplace, but it can be deadly on the road. The problem is that when we're multitasking, our brain is really just doing the best it can under pressure, by switching its attention back and forth among different tasks and inputs. And since driving is one of the most complex activities we engage in, for drivers the only real result is distraction, and often disaster. Traffic safety experts tell us that there are 3 main types of distractions: visual, manual, and cognitive. Visual distractions take your eyes off the road. They include things such as reading an incoming text message, checking how the kids are doing in the back seat, or verifying a GPS setting. Manual distractions involve taking your hands off the wheel. This happens when you grab your cell phone to answer a call, key in a text message, or pick up that burger you bought at the drive-thru. Cognitive distraction means taking your mind off your driving, like when you're arguing with someone on your cell phone, reacting to your GPS when it tells you that you're lost, or obsessing about an upcoming work project. Emotional reactions, happiness, sadness, anger are forms of cognitive distraction too. Other common cognitive distractions include looking at something unusual on the roadside, like a funny billboard, changing the radio station, turning around to grab something off the back seat, or worrying about the appointment that you're running late for. Scanning different music tracks to find a song you like, brushing your hair in the rear view or visor mirror, reading a map or written directions, or entering information into your GPS are commonly experienced distractions as well. Any of these types of distractions, alone or in combination, create a dangerous situation. Another source of serious distraction is other people. A backseat driver might question your navigation, suggest that you reprogram the GPS, or let you know about an upcoming turn. Kids can force you to turn around to see what they're up to, or help them with something. Even when they're quietly amusing themselves, you're always thinking about them. People don't even have to be passengers to distract you. They can demand your attention simply by calling you on your cell phone or sending a text. Other drivers can distract you by honking their horns or through their own erratic driving. And pedestrians can distract you just by trying to cross the street. Cell phones are responsible for more distracted driving accidents and injuries than any other type of distraction. So how and why they affect us deserves a special examination. While a cell phone may put the world in your hands, they also engage your mind so fully that once you focus on them, you're not driving safely anymore. Studies show that talking to someone who isn't in the car with you is significantly more distracting than talking to a passenger. And it's not only holding your personal phone that can cause problems. While most newer cars allow you to sync up your phone to the car's audio systems, you still have to manipulate the controls on the dashboard or steering wheel. This is why doing hands-free calling isn't really much safer, because it can still distract drivers' minds just as much as handheld devices do. Then there's texting. It requires you to look at your phone, a visual distraction, read and compose messages, cognitive distractions, and key in your own text, a manual distraction. That's why texting behind the wheel multiplies the risk of having a crash up to 23 times versus talking on the phone. It's also simply why stopping drivers from texting could prevent so many accidents and injuries. And remember, there aren't just a few cell phones on the road. There are millions of them, and the number is growing every day. In fact, the National Safety Council estimates that at any given moment, fully 10% of U.S. drivers on the road are talking on their cell phones. Add in all the drivers being distracted by other things, and it's scary to think how many people are at risk right now because of distracted driving. At times, trying to combat distracted driving can seem hopeless. But there are steps we can take to head it off before we get behind the wheel. Let's look at some of them. First, tell the world you're busy. Before you drive, record an outgoing voicemail message that tells callers you are driving and will get back to them when you're off the road. This is also a great way to lead by example. Anyone who receives your message may be encouraged to do the same when they drive. A variety of cell phone apps are also available to disable calling and texting functions, silence alerts, and send customized auto responses. You should also turn your cell phone off and stow it. You'll never be distracted by a phone that doesn't ring. Switch it off or to silent mode before you get in the car. Then put the phone away, out of reach, so you won't be tempted to take it out and turn it back on if you get bored. You should also prepare navigation ahead of time. When you plan to use a GPS, program your destination before you drive. Not only will you eliminate an on-the-road interruption, you'll do a better job and get better results. If you prefer a printed map or written directions, review them in advance. And don't wait until you're on the road to use an internet-based mapping service either. You should make sure you finish dressing and personal grooming before you get behind the wheel as well. Brushing your hair or applying makeup takes a lot of concentration, and the results can be really bad when you're trying to drive at the same time, for you, your car, and other drivers. Don't forget to secure any children and pets that you're riding with. Turning around to deal with loose kids in the back seat while you're driving can lead to disaster. So can having an excited or frightened pet running around your car. So make sure kids are safely seated and belted in, and pets are properly restrained before you start your trip. And always be sure that you know your vehicle. If you're driving an unfamiliar company vehicle or a rental, take the time to locate important controls such as headlights, wipers, the defroster, and other knobs and buttons you might need in a hurry. Set as many of them as possible before you leave. If necessary, ask a coworker for help or check the driver's manual. Last but not least, fix the seat position so you can operate the pedals comfortably and adjust all the mirrors to minimize your blind spots. Taking steps to prevent distraction before you get behind the wheel is important, but it's just the first step in fighting distraction. Even with good preparation, there are plenty of things that can distract you while you're on the road. Fortunately, there are effective techniques you can use to stay safe once you're rolling as well. Let's take a look at some of them. First, focus on driving. Trying to multitask behind the wheel is dangerous. Don't ever text, surf the web, read email, or talk on a cell phone while you're driving. Refrain from eating, drinking, reading, grooming, or any other activity that takes your hands off the wheel or your mind or eyes off the road. When in doubt, pull over. If you need to make a call, reprogram your GPS, deal with a kid's issue, or anything else that requires your attention, pull over to a safe area first. You can also use your passengers. They can be a good resource. Ask them to take a call, consult the map, reprogram the radio, or provide other help. You need to be cool while you're on the road as well. It's your responsibility to keep focused. Don't allow yourself to get disturbed or agitated by things inside or outside of your vehicle. Whether it's accidents, aggressive drivers, pedestrians, billboards, the unexpected, or the interesting, keep your hands, eyes, and mind on your driving. You also need to know how to look for distracted drivers. These folks can kill you, so sharpen your spotting skills. Watch out for drivers who are going much faster or slower than the speed limit or traffic flow, or who needlessly change speed. Stop longer than required at a traffic light or sign, can't stay in their lane, or are weaving through traffic. If you do encounter a distracted driver, assume that they don't see your vehicle at all. Give them a wide berth by pulling ahead or dropping behind them. If you can't get away or they are really driving erratically, call 911 and report their behavior to the police. You should not make any effort to get the other driver to pay attention to you. This can just increase their distraction and its potential for danger. Focus your own attention on your vehicle, your passengers, and yourself. But what should you do if you're riding with a distracted driver? Remember that distracted driving kills people. Speak up and let the driver know that you're concerned. Be polite and helpful. Calmly say, I think it's getting a little too crazy in here. Why don't we pull over and sort it out? Or offer to handle the cell phone, deal with navigation or corral pets, anything that will diminish the driver's distractions and promote safety. Distracted driving causes hundreds of thousands of accidents and injuries, and thousands of fatalities. Stopping distracted driving begins with each of us making a commitment to adhere to safe driving habits. Let's review. Before you drive, finish getting dressed, putting on makeup, and other grooming. Record an outgoing voicemail on your cell phone, explaining that you're driving and will get back to callers later. Then turn your cell phone off and stow it out of reach. Adjust seats and mirrors and program the entertainment system. Pre-program your navigation as well. Make sure kids and pets are safely seated and secured. On unfamiliar vehicles, locate the important controls and learn how they work. When you're on the road, stay focused on your driving. If something else needs your attention, pull over. You can't control other drivers, but you can control your own driving habits. Keeping your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and your mind focused on driving is how you can help save lives every minute that you're behind the wheel.